What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Hockeytown University. You are here with us, your hosts, once again, Matt and Zack. It is 6:45 p.m. on Wednesday, the 10th of January. Matt, how you doing?
I'm doing fantastic, and you want to know why I'm doing fantastic today out of all days? It's because we here in the state of Michigan are national champions, my friend. We are national champions. Harbaugh finally brought it back to the promised land. We did it totally legitimate, no shittiness whatsoever. So yeah, sorry, that one's gonna stand. But yeah, I'm doing pretty damn good, all things considered.
Yeah, congratulations to the University of Michigan. That was honestly a nail-biter of a game. Glad to see that they finally got it. Let's talk about hockey, though, Matt. We got a lot that we got to talk about on today's episode. But before we do, we want to stop and take a second to appreciate you guys, the fans that stopped to watch this episode. If you are returning, if you are new, thanks for stopping by. We definitely do appreciate that. If you would be so nice as to subscribe and also hit that thumbs up button, that really does go a long way for us. And also, if you are on Spotify, make sure you do hit that follow button and rate us 5 stars if you haven't already. Matt, what do we got in store today? Well, we're going to go and discuss back about the Ducks game that happened on Sunday, where the Red Wings won 3-2. They're on a 3-game heater right now. Let's keep the momentum going. Undefeated in January. Then we're going to talk about a lot of Red Wings news. Edvinsson, Berggren, Nate Danielson. A lot of news just dropped on us. Then we're going to go into the main topics as it says in the title. I'm sure that's why you clicked on this video. And then we'll close it out with what's going on around the league. And so, Matt, let's get into it, buddy. So, like I said, the Red Wings did beat the Anaheim Ducks on Sunday, 3-2. What do you think about the game, buddy? Do you like the last goal?
Yeah, I definitely like the last goal. I mean, I'm here to tell you right now. I don't really need to tell you, but it was a good goal. Yeah, that is absolutely a good goal in the NHL. I know a lot of people thought there was a little bit of controversy there. You can redirect a puck in with your skate. What you cannot do is blatantly kick it in, and that is not at all what Rasmussen did. It really, honestly, kind of like touched his stick too after he redirected with his foot.
Boy.
So even still, that would have been a good goal. So yeah, that was great. I mean, notably, the best thing about that win, it was the first win the Red Wings have had, really, actually, this season, scoring less than 4 goals. I mean, it last happened in the preseason. So yeah, it's nice to see that they can actually win without scoring 4 goals. Thank God for that.
Yeah, Matt brings up an interesting stat. It's relevant, but also not relevant, however you want to look at it, because the Red Wings have won without allowing 3 goals, but scoring more than 3. And so the last time that the Red Wings won a game with less than 4 goals scored was back on October 4th in 2023 against the Pittsburgh Penguins during the preseason, where they won 2-1. And so they did that against the Anaheim Ducks 3-2. But yeah, whichever way you want to look at it, it's relevant, but also not relevant to the Red Wings. But good on them. It means a little bit of something, I guess. But Matt, yeah, that's Michael Rasmussen goal. It's a good goal based on the rule book, but everyone knows that when it's refs going based on the rule book, it's very much a gray area, and it honestly, it could have gone either way. But to me, biased, unbiased, however you want to look at it, good goal, was not a distinct kicking motion. He was already going in. He redirected the puck to go into the net. It's not a kick. So I agree with you on that. But let's go and talk about the rest of the game, shall we? Where the Red Wings, Matt, this is my new favorite thing to say. Same old song and dance. Within the first 20 seconds, Trevor Zegras scores. Ducks take it 1-0. And we'll talk about him later on, too. Wings took 10 minutes to register their first shot, which came on the power play. They looked really bad in the first period, at least in the first 10 minutes. Then they score on their second shot by Dylan Larkin, who was set up nicely in the slot by David Perron. McTavish then cross-checks Larkin in the back and goes off Hurts. That's really scary because we all know that Dylan Larkin has a history of back problems and back injuries and neck injuries and all this other stuff. So Ducks did register a shot, did not register a shot until 7 seconds left in the first period in the last 10 minutes. So once the Red Wings got their first shot on board, the Ducks didn't get a shot registered until the last 7 seconds of that first period. So pretty crazy exchange. So it was pretty back and forth. Just a very weird period. Larkin was on the ice to start the second period, so that's great to see. Veleno gets a sneaky wraparound goal early in the second to make it 2-1. That did have to be reviewed to confirm that it went in. Matt, did you watch the game, or do you remember that goal? I'm assuming you watched the game.
I definitely watched the full game. You know, it's like 3 days ago, so I mean, my memory is not that great. I don't even remember what I had for lunch today.
So yeah, I'm not sure if you remember seeing the wraparound goal or not, and then it going in. But yeah, it went in, it snuck in. Was your initial reaction that it went in? Because when I saw it, I was like, okay, you can't really see it. The angles suck, and then they finally gave you that one that you could see.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about that is, like, the goalie for Anaheim was doing that little hack where he puts on black pads, so, you know, it's the same color as the puck, so really hard to see the puck crossing the goal line in the moment, so I'm happy it got reviewed, because I think you could kind of tell from Veleno's reaction that he thought it went in, so, you know, that definitely let the ref know, oh, maybe we should review this, and it did in fact go in, just snuck in there, so yeah, that was pretty nice. A good wraparound goal by Veleno. It's good to see him getting it going again. He's what is he up to now? 8 or 9 goals right now on the season. That's pretty darn good.
Yeah, 8 goals in 38 games. That's definitely, he's catching up to his, I believe that's his, I'm gonna check right now. So bear with me. I'll just edit this part out. Yeah, Joe Veleno is only 4 points from breaking his point total from last season, which was 20 points in 81 games and 9 goals. So he's 1 goal away from tying his season record. And he's on pace for 34 points with 17 goals and 17 assists in 80 games. So good on for Joe Veleno. Like you said, he's looking to be quite a steal of a signing for Steve Yzerman late into the offseason. So good on Steve and good on Joe Veleno for picking it up. And hopefully we can keep Joey V going into the season. We can offer him an extension. But yeah, Matt, Alex Lyon, just a complete animal this whole entire game. Honestly, he played lights out. In the second period, he made multiple key saves to keep the lead for the Red Wings in this game when it was still 2-1. Wings did kill a huge 5-3 penalty kill or power play for the Ducks. Sherratt and Wallman looked fantastic. Crowd was yelling at that point, "Let's go Red Wings in Anaheim." So much like Derek said on the episode last time, that Ducks or Red Wings fans are far all over the globe, and so you'll find them everywhere in the United States and overseas, wherever you go. So it's great to see. We love it. Keep it up. Kane gets an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty for arguing a call that was not made. What do you think of that, Matt? Real quick.
You know, honestly, I mean, we all know how the refs have been this year. Sure, why not? I'm not even going to bother arguing about that one. They say it's a penalty. I guess it's a penalty. Whatever. Move on.
Yeah, your feelings got hurt. All right, show me on the doll where you got poked at by Patrick Kane. Okay, please.
Where the bad man hurt you.
Ken Daniels announces Wings are on a perfect 20-for-20 penalty kill streak entering the third period. And they're entering the third period on a penalty kill as well. Ducks tie it 2-2, another Zegras goal with the Wings' inability to collect the puck in their own zone and get it out. Yes, this is same song and dance, right, Matt? Same thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Same. It's my favorite phrase now. With 60 seconds left in the third, Seider shoots the puck from the top of the circle with a nice redirection off the skates of Rasmussen to give the Wings a 3-2 lead. And Ducks fans are then chanting refs who suck because they counted the goal. And we just talked about it. So overall, great game by the team and great win. Detroit sweeps all the Cali teams that they played against. San Jose, LA Kings, now the Anaheim Ducks, winning 3 straight and taking home 6 out of 6 possible points. Like I mentioned on a couple episodes ago, if they could go on a 10-game heater, they're a wild card team once again. and they're heading towards that direction, which is awesome. Massive start to 2024. Alex Lyon wins again. He stopped 28 out of 30. Solid win. Red Wings. It's not perfect, but we're winning. We're getting there. So it's
not
great.
perfect, but those ugly wins count the same as regular wins. So
And
whatever.
after that,
Another one in the win column.
And after that, when the Wings are 4-1-0 in their last 5 games. So congratulations. Let's keep the momentum going. And the next game that the Red Wings will play will be against the Edmonton Oilers, which is tomorrow, Thursday, the 11th, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Just a little bit of news about that from this morning. Morning skate from this morning. Derek Lalonde, head coach, says Wallman was sick today. He did not skate. We'll see how he feels tomorrow before deciding if he'll play. Costin might be ready by the weekend. Lyon is in net for the Edmonton game. Plans on getting Reimer in one of the weekend games. Gross. And Husso is skating.
How about we don't?
And Husso is skating but can't get down in the butterfly. So he's probably another 2-3 weeks away, I'd imagine. And I'm not trying to rush him back at any point.
So what? You can't get in the butterfly. Billy Smith on the Islanders never played in the butterfly, and he's a franchise legend. So come on, get in here, dude. If you can't, I'd rather take Billy Husso with no butterfly than James Reimer fully healthy. I'm gonna be honest with you.
I think I would rather put Klim Kostin than Husso out and not butterflying.
Whatever we got to do.
So let's go into the Red Wings news, Matt. Couple hours right before we actually recorded, it was kind of midday. Edvinsson and Berggren are AHL All-Stars. They got nominated into the All-Star tournament that they're hosting. So the All-Star Classic, I believe, is what they call it. So initial thoughts on that, Matt?
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. I mean, hopefully this is going to be their last year in the AHL. But yeah, it's good to see while they're still there that they're recognized for their stellar play, because they really have been stellar. I mean, obviously we know what Berggren's done. He's had a few stints here in the NHL, and we did see Edvinsson for those couple of games, but largely he's just been an AHL defenseman. But yeah, I'm really happy to see that they're going to be in the All-Star game. It's really no surprise, to be honest. They've been the two best players on that team, so yeah, hopefully we see both of them. If not this, well, I guess it's not going to be this season. Hopefully next season they're full time. So yeah, I really hope that opens the door for them to be on this roster full time. Hopefully this is the little step forward that Steve is looking for them, and they're going to be with a big club.
Yeah, I mean, this is a huge step for Grand Rapids Griffins and for Berggren and Simon Edvinsson. Berggren right now in 22 games with the Grand Rapids Griffins has 8 goals, 15 assists for 23 points, and Edvinsson in 29 games has 6 goals, 13 assists for 19 points. Grand Rapids has been on a heater too. I'm pretty sure that they're on a 5, maybe 6 game winning streak since I saw whoever posted it. I'm sorry, I can't give them credit. I should have saved their name, but I saw it on Twitter. Thank you for posting it, whoever did post it out there. But yeah, they're doing well. I know Toledo Walleye are doing well too. They haven't lost in regulation, I think, since December 9th or something crazy like that. So all the Red Wings teams are doing fantastic. So if they can keep it up, keep it up. But yeah, great for Edvinsson, great for Berggren. They definitely have a shot at being opening night roster and full-time players next season. Steve Yzerman has to make a couple tough calls, I think, during this trade deadline and going into the offseason next year. And so hopefully these two players are still parts of the solution moving forward in the future, with Berggren's name being swirled around for trade rumors. Edvinsson, I don't see him being moved, but Matt, we're living in the world where Steve Yzerman just makes anything happen out of thin air, just like that. And so, gotta be ready. So, no, good on them. I think it's fantastic. They'll have a lot of fun, so good on them. I am really thinking about buying the AHL package so I can start watching the Grand Rapids Griffins, because it looks like that they do have a possibility of somehow sneaking into a playoff spot. So, right before this recording as well, Nate Danielson was traded from the Brandon Wheat Kings to the Portland Winterhawks, which was kind of announced that was a rumor 2 weeks ago by I believe it was Jeff Merrick or someone else, Elliot Friedman maybe. But yeah, the deal is done. The trade details have been revealed. The deal involved Nate Danielson going to the Portland Winterhawks, obviously, and then the Brandon Wheat Kings get forward Nick Johnson, defenseman Rhett Ravindal. I'm
Sure.
so sorry. Yeah.
That's totally a hockey player.
2025 first round pick, a 2027 first round pick, and a 2028 fifth round pick. I really don't know if this is a lot. I don't know anything about the two players, but two firsts for Nate Danielson, and Nate Danielson is going to the highest scoring WHL team right now. Initial reaction to the trade, Matt. I love it. I'm glad to see that I can. Hopefully, Nate Danielson can do better on a better team than the Brandon Wheat Kings. No offense to them, but yeah, thoughts, Matt.
Yeah, I mean, to be completely honest, this is yeah, it's a really good trade, and I think relative to like a lot of trades that happen in the WHL, this is not super crazy, but yeah, he's going to the number one scoring team in the WHL. They're a team that I mean, I'm not really going to pretend that I know that much about the WHL, but it seems like they are one of the top players in that league. You know, maybe they're going to go on a little bit of a run, so that'd be really awesome. I'd be super happy to see him go on a championship run in the Memorial Cup. And here's the thought: it's going to be in Saginaw this year. Maybe we're going to be able to see him in well, not quite our hometown, but he will be local. So yeah, that would be awesome. I don't really know any like notable Winterhawks that are on that team, but if people say that that's a good team and that's the best place for him to be, then I'll just trust those people. And yeah, hopefully he gets a lot of winning experience. I would love for him to come over to. Ideally, if he's going to come over to the AHL next year, I'd like him to bring some winning experience. That'll definitely rub off on the guys there. So yeah, I'm excited to see what he can do on that team.
Yeah, I'm kind of right there with you, Matt. I really don't know too much, actually, none at all about this Portland Winterhawks team, other than I'm looking at them right now on the regular season standings for the WHL, and they're second in the Western Conference in 37 games played. They got 25 wins, 10 losses, one overtime loss, one shootout loss, and 52 points. Their win percentage is 703.
That's all I need to hear. They're a good team. Let's go.
Yeah, in their last 10 games, they've gone 9-1. Their power play is at 26.8%, and that looks like that's about like the fifth best in the league. And then their penalty kill is 80%, and that's pretty much about it that it gives me on this website. And so I would have to do more research. But yeah, I think that this is a great trade for Nate Danielson, first and foremost, for Red Wings fans. That's pretty much what I'm most interested in, is I want to see how Nate Danielson does on a good team.
Yeah, I mean, I do know that they were not a great team last year, and they were a little bit better of a team this year. It's just, you know, that they're not really going to factor into the race at all. You go over to Portland, they will definitely be a big player coming in this playoffs. So yeah, it's honestly the best place he could be. Hopefully, he's going to take a big role on that team. I know that he pretty much carried Brandon on his back this entire season. So, and you know, his production this year has actually been a little bit lower than it was in his draft years. So, hopefully, that just had to do with the talent around him, and he's going to play with some guys who, I mean, you know, maybe some of these guys will get drafted in this draft. I know some of them are a little bit overage now, but yeah, he's going to have some legit players to play with for, you know, the first time in his junior career. So that'll be very interesting to see.
Yeah, in 26 games with the Brandon Wheat Kings, Nate Danielson posted 12 goals, 14 assists for 26 points, so a point per game pace. Nate Danielson did miss a couple games in the WHL season for spending extra time with the Detroit Red Wings during their preseason action. So, solid excuse, I would say. So,
Plus the World Juniors too. He
plus
had to miss some time for
also
that.
the World Juniors, yes, correct. And so, Matt, yeah, just real quickly, some other Red Wings news. Red Wings did send down Austin Czarnik back to Grand Rapids Griffins. Like I said, Griffins were on a 5-game win streak. I think that's still the case. They do play tonight. Toledo has been undefeated since December 9th, like I mentioned. Here's this one's really interesting to me. This one really struck me. During intermission of the Red Wings Ducks game, Matt, Pat Verbeek was speaking with Ken Daniels. I don't know if you saw this, or remember hearing this. Pat Verbeek was saying how Steve Yzerman came to the decision to draft Moritz Seider 15 minutes before his selection was made in the 2019 NHL draft. Since then, the rest is history. How does that make you feel?
Well, I mean, obviously it was the right pick. I think at the time, I remember you and I were kind of holding our heads just like, what the hell just happened? Because, we saw Trevor Zegras there, which funny enough, we're going to get to him later on in this episode. And that was definitely the guy that I wanted there at that spot. But, we've always said in Steve Yzerman we trust, and our trust was placed pretty well in him. And now this kind of makes me interested in who they thought they were going to get before Steve Yzerman made up his mind, because that would be very interesting to know that.
Yeah, no, I would be very interested to see who they were potentially interested other than Mo Seider. I can't remember who else would have been there. I know Zegras was obviously there.
Matt Boldy was in that draft too.
I would have to go back and look, but I would imagine that was probably another defenseman. Probably someone like, I think Broberg was in that draft, or who was the other defenseman?
Thank God they didn't go there.
There was another defenseman. I can't think of it. But if someone wants to leave that in the comments, feel free to make me look silly. Matt, believe it or not, James Reimer made it on Frank Saravalli's from the Daily Faceoff. Made it on Frank Saravalli's list of top deadline targets for Daily Faceoff at number 26, but the list was out of 25 players. So kind of a slap to the face, but also, are you shocked that James Reimer is a trade deadline target?
I think he's more on that list just because he knows that we will do anything in our power to get rid of him. I don't think he's going to be a target for anybody. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he's included in a trade. I really, honestly don't know what that would even look like. He would pretty much just be a throw-in, honestly. Maybe a team who is just completely starting for goaltending. Funny enough, I think San Jose, where he played last year. It's hard to say, to be honest. I don't really know why he's on there. I don't think there's any teams out there in the league looking at this guy saying, yeah, he's definitely going to fix our goaltending. Well, maybe Toronto. Toronto's goaltending is just, I could probably start for their, third string job. So they got some bad goaltending too. So yeah, I don't know. I don't really know why he's on there. I guess he's just on there to round out the numbers.
Just to round out the numbers, I guess that's as good, I guess, as mine would be. Yeah, I'm not. Every team needs goaltending, I guess. If you really think that your team needs a third, or you're really that desperate come trade deadline that you need a backup, I guess Reimer is an option. I guess it really depends on how well you think your defense is going to acclimate to a James Reimer in your nets, and how well they're good at stopping pucks from coming towards his face, because he ducks underneath every single one of them if they do and lets them in. All jokes aside, I'm a little shocked that he made the list. I do not really think that he's on anyone's trade list, but this is the NHL where anything is possible, right? And so we'll just have to wait and see. But Matt, per this player's agent, the Coyotes, the Bruins, the Maple Leafs, and the Red Wings are showing interest in Spartak player Maxim Saiplikov. Oh boy. Yeah. He's a player in the KHL.
Okay.
This is a player in the KHL, and they'll make a decision on where he continues his career at the end of the season. So he is a winger who has 22 goals, 10 assists, and 32 points in 48 games played. Real big boy. He's like 6'3", 200 something pounds. Is this something, or is this someone that you can see the Red Wings actually going after, signing and putting onto the roster in the off season?
Well, when you say the guy is 6'3", 250 pounds, I could definitely see why that puts him on Yzerman's radar. That's just the exact type of guy he likes to go after. I mean, I will say, though, that these types of signings don't work out more often than they do, to be honest. I like the last one that really worked out was Kuzmenko last year for the Canucks, who has actually even this season had a down year. So I am maybe signing him, then maybe also not signing him. You won't know until I do it. I'm not doing anything, Zach. I don't run the team, just so you know. That's why I sit here on a podcast.
You're not wrong. That's fair. Yeah, if it were me, if I were Steve Yzerman, I'm probably not going to sign this guy. I might be interested. I might hear what he has to say, but it's probably going to be for a very cheap contract. And if I think that he's going to be better than Berggren, which at this rate, I really don't know anything about this guy. So,
Could be
moving
worse.
along. Could be. Who knows? Maybe we'll sign him and we'll find out. Who knows?
Maybe.
All right, Matt. Let's go into the main topic, shall we? All right. Red Wings trade rumors and deadline targets. It's that time of the season. It really is. Once the new year rolls around,
Comes up
the
fast.
trades are everywhere. Matt, yes, why don't you go ahead and name off your players? But yeah, we went ahead and picked the players that we thought that would be great targets for the Red Wings going into the trade deadline if they are in the playoff hunt. And so, Matt, name off your players.
Yeah, so for this exercise, I had a few guys that I was looking at, but I have one for forward, one for defense, because to be honest, I think we could use help, honestly, up and down this lineup. One guy that I really thought about is over playing in Anaheim, Adam Henrique. He is a center over there. He's been there since the 2018 season. Right now he is, oh, how old is he? I just had it up here. He is mid-30s. He's 33 years old. So he is actually in the last year of his contract. So the Red Wings went out and traded for him. He would be essentially a rental player. I mean, you never know. Maybe we go on a run and he wants to sign here, but he would essentially be a rental. He does still have some production at his age. He's at 21 points this year, 10 goals, 11 assists. And the big thing is he's only -2 on that Ducks team, a team that lets in a lot of goals and is really not known well for its defensive play. So, yeah, he's honestly a pretty solid two-way center. I think those kinds of players are really just so valuable in playoff runs. You really need those guys who can essentially, play a two-way game. They can win you face-offs. They can win you puck battles along the boards. They just have all those little things they do very well. He'd really help with our center depth. And anyways, we'll take Adam Henrique and we'll just dump our mistake off on you. That's what the trade deadline essentially is. And you'll probably have to throw in like a second round pick or something like that too. It's because that contract is so horrendous. But I think they could probably get it done. I don't know if I'd want to spend Berggren for a rental. That just does not seem like a great idea in my mind. But we also didn't ask for mock trade, so I don't even know why I gave you one. I didn't even think that through. It's just the first thing that came to my mind. Yeah, and then my other player was Noah Hanifin, which actually, no, his deal is up next year, so he would also be a rental. But the interesting thing about him is he is a bit younger. I think that he'd be a guy, he's been pretty vocal about wanting a trade and going to a winning team. I mean, if the Red Wings are in a playoff spot and he believes that we are that team that he wants to have a future with, we could go ahead and get him. He's only signed at just under $5 million actually for this year. So I really like his game. I've always been a fan of him. He is like a true offensive defenseman who really does not have what am I trying to say? He's not a liability in his own game. He has 22 points, 41 games. He's +10. I think he'd play pretty well on our blue line, to be honest. I think he could be a good second pairing guy, or honestly, even all over the lineup. I think he'd be a really good partner for Mo Seider on that top line, even. So I think he'd be pretty valuable in a playoff run. Yeah, pretty much any of those guys. I mean, there's definitely a lot of other targets we could talk about, but those two kind of jump off to me as the guys that maybe could be on the trading block. Maybe Steve Yzerman will look at them. I think those are two Steve Yzerman guys right there. So, yeah, that might be it.
If you didn't put down your players first, I would have probably picked both of those players too. I mean, those are two prominent players that I think a lot of teams in the league would be going after right now if the trade deadline was happening currently. Especially someone like Adam Henrique. I personally would probably not put him in the center spot. I would probably put him on the left wing. if we were to go and acquire him. I don't know what it would take. I'm
He
not going to
plays
go
wing
into
too,
that.
so that could
I'm not
work.
going to go into that detail, but thank you
Seven
for
round
that,
pick.
Matt. But yeah, I think Adam Henrique plays really well in his own zone. I was looking up his stats in Money Puck. He hardly ever gives the puck away in the defensive zone, and he gets a lot of starts in the defensive zone. So you could utilize him and deploy him in those types of situations if the faceoff is in your own zone. So, or just the fact that the Red Wings just can never get the puck out of their own zone. Just put Adam Henrique out on that shift, and he will get the puck hopefully out of that zone for you. So please, that would be awesome. And so yeah, Adam Henrique and Noah Hanfin, yeah, another player you mentioned, and his age alone, I think, is attractive to Steve Yzerman and the Red Wings, and the fact that this could be a topic for a different conversation for a different day, but I personally have questions if Jake Walman truly is a top pairing defenseman. Noah Hanifin could potentially be that defenseman for us if that is a player that we decide to go after. And so if you pair him with Sider, go ahead and do it. I don't know what the cost is going to look like. It's probably going to be more expensive than an Adam Henrique, due to age and the fact that he is quote unquote technically a rental, but you are trading him for the sake of potentially signing him for the long term. And so, yeah, I would do it, I guess, but with the logjam at defense, it's just difficult, and I'm kind of contradicting myself because two players that I picked are both defensemen, and like I said, if Matt did not pick Adam Henrique, he was going to be my other choice. And so, yeah, my first choice is Sean Walker from the Philadelphia Flyers, who actually was not traded that long ago. He was traded from the LA Kings to the Philadelphia Flyers in that huge package that involved Ivan Provorov going to the Columbus Blue Jackets with the LA Kings, and a whole bunch of picks and everything that happened. And so Sean Walker would be someone I would go after, right-handed shooting defenseman. Justin Hall, he started out great at first. I think you could bump Sean Walker into that third pairing spot. So I like that pick. I think he comes in at really cheap. He comes in at $2.65 million. I'm not sure what Philly's really looking for. If they're looking for picks, I'm sure the asking price really isn't going to be that much, especially since they just got a Jamie Drysdale. So they're looking to move right-handed defenseman. I'm sure if it's not Sean Walker, then there's probably another one on there. I can't remember the guy's name. Nick Seeler, I think it is, that they have on there too as well. And so that's another player that the Red Wings can go after. But that's not who I have, Matt. And the other player that I have would be Chris Tanev for the Calgary Flames, who
I almost picked
is
him too.
He's a little older. He is 34. He is a right-handed shooting defenseman as well. He's 6'2". I realize I didn't say the height for Sean Walker. He is a little smaller, 5'11", 196 pounds, but 6'2", 197 pounds for Chris Tanev. He's on the last year of his deal. Move no trade clause, comes in at $4.5 million. Really, for him, just a shutdown D. You can't have enough of those. In 38 games, he's got 7 points. He's a plus 10. He's got 8 penalty minutes. So really good. Defenseman, knows how to play shutdown D. Like I said, I think you can't have enough of these, especially if you're going into the playoffs and you need depth. And based on the way that the Red Wings defense is, you can't have enough bodies, more than enough bodies to rotate around, especially who you're playing against in that playoff series. And so if you do want to try and make it at least to the second round, getting as many bodies as you can heading into the playoffs, spending minimally to do it is the best way to go. So you want to try and target these players where if you can make pure hockey trades, go ahead and do it. That's what I think that the direction Steve Yzerman is going into this trade deadline, Matt, is that Steve Yzerman is either looking to sell some forwards that have goal production to acquire a forward or a D-man that provides you defensive capabilities that might chip in a little bit offensively here and there. Would you agree with me on that it's either stand pat or go that route?
Yeah, I mean I think that's exactly what this team needs at this point, is a guy who will just be very, very responsible in his own ends. You don't really need the guy to put up any offense. His team is already scoring like 4, 5, 6 goals a night.
Yeah.
I literally do not care if we get another Gossa spare. We honestly don't even need that at this point. We really, really need a Chris Tanev who will just, he's a big penalty killer. He'll eat minutes. You can play him. You can play him in your bottom 4 or in your top 4. I mean, you can play pretty much wherever you want him to play. Just give him what the situation is. And yeah, as far as Sean Walker goes, I mean, he'd be a good option too. He's actually playing the best hockey of his career. He was a guy in LA who I think they wanted to keep him, but it was just there were so many guys ahead of him that they just couldn't really find a spot for him. So they found a perfect partner in Philadelphia to send him off to. And he's already matched his point total from last year in I think like more than 30 games or something. So yeah, he's been really good. I think that's a guy they want to hang on to and maybe be a part of their future. I guess I don't really know how far in the future they're looking for this guy, but it would be really nice to have him on the Red Wings. As it stands now, the Flyers are in a playoff spot. I don't see them being sellers, but you never know. Maybe they could be like kind of hybrid, like buyers and sellers, depending on what offers are out there. So,
And
yeah,
that's where
I mean, you could put an offer if you're Steve Eisenman. I don't see why not. At least try.
and that's where the pure hockey trades come in, right? Where if you see that there's a team that might need offense, where Philadelphia, maybe they need more, maybe they feel like they need more offensive depth going into the playoff, where we need more defensive depth. And so if you could find a hockey trade there where it's, I'm just spitting out names out there, Daniel Sprong for a Sean Walker, similar cap hit, they're on 1-year deals. I don't see no issue with that. Granted, you probably have to make a move on defense with one of the players that you currently have, but you make it work somehow. But yeah, pure hockey trades like that. If you got to get that done, go ahead and do that. Like I said, spend minimal or just stand pat. I don't think that you could go wrong with that. And if you have to call up Simon Edvinsson, then you have to call up Simon Edvinsson. If you have to call up Johansson, then you have to call up Johansson too.
That's not a problem. They should already be here. So definitely not a problem.
Yeah, I think it's more than perfectly fine. But yeah, that is the movement that the Red Wings should be heading towards this trade deadline and, and any type of trade target. And Matt, here's a fun little one. Would you trade for Trevor Zegras?
I mean, I don't know about now because he actually just got hurt the other night.
Okay, well, before the injury.
Yeah, so before the injury, I mean, I was pretty surprised to see he was available. Like, obviously, we have the whole Cutter Gauthier situation, which we will get to a little later on. That was a pretty unique situation. I'm very surprised to see that Zegras is on the block. I don't really know where that came from. That seemed to come more out of left field than this trade, to be honest. But yeah, I think I would trade for him. You really can't have too many players like Zegras in your lineup. Like, sure, maybe he's not like the best player defensively, but he's not going to be like a Patrick Kane who, never back checks, never even enters a puck battle on the boards. I mean, that's not really to take anything away from Patrick Kane. We've loved him ever since he signed, but yeah, I mean, I would really love to see Zegras play on a line with Lucas Raymonds or maybe even with maybe center line with Kane and DeBrincat. That'd be really fun too. I mean, you never really know with a guy like that, and you're Derek Lalonde, you can play a lot of different scenarios with him. So
I really like that Kane and DeBrincat line. That would be a flying defensive dynamo scoring line, but that would be also called the no defense line, buddy. So no, thank you.
Yeah, so when they scored, you immediately cannot play them again together. You can't be doing that.
But no, I hear you. Yeah, so you're saying that you would go out and trade for Trevor Zegras if he was on the market?
Yeah, I think so. And I mean, we can do a little exercise in that too. I mean, I think it would probably start with a Berggren. So I feel like I'd be okay trading Berggren. Yeah. I mean, it really seems like at this point there's not a spot for him in the lineup. It's unfortunate, but that's just the way this team is built right now. I think they've been trying to get him in, but it just isn't there. He's only there for injuries. I don't want a player like Berggren to be just not. I mean, I don't want to say wasting away in the AHL. Like wherever you're playing and you're playing well, that's not a waste at all. But he belongs in the NHL. He'll go over to Anaheim. He'll play in the middle six immediately. So I think it would probably start with that. You probably have to throw in a pick, maybe second round pick in next year's draft or this year's draft. It's hard to really say, but yeah, that seems like it'd be pretty appropriate for a trade for Zegras.
I feel like it would be more than that, but just to start off, I feel like making a trade for Trevor Zegras, if he was on the market, I think if you're Steve Yzerman, you're calling Pat Verbeek. I mean, you literally just saw him, and a couple days
Right.
later, or maybe a day later, he trades Jamie Drysdale. It literally came out of thin air for Cutter Gauthier. We'll go into that, but maybe him and Steve and Pat Verbeek, maybe they did speak, maybe not about Trevor Zegras, but maybe about potentially making a trade, because it's no secret that the Anaheim Ducks do have pieces on their team, whether if it's Drysdale, Zegras, Adam Henrique, they have a couple players also that they could go out there and trade at the deadline or even in the offseason. And they have plenty of center depth.
McTavish right now, I think he's their 2C right now. Of course, now they have Cutter Gauthier with their center depth. They have Leo Carlson too. I mean, those three right there, they honestly kind of make Zegras expendable.
Exactly. And that's exactly what happened with Jamie Drysdale. With, I believe people are saying Pavel Mintyukov was one of the main reasons why they feel like Jamie Drysdale was expendable. And you were able to get the Cutter Gauthier who could play center or on the wing for the Anaheim Ducks in the future. And so, yeah, for me, if I'm going after Trevor Zegras, which I would be, I'm not getting him to play center. I'm probably going to get him to play wing because
Yeah, I
his.
don't think I'd do that either, to be honest. I just thought that would be a fun line, but it's probably better that
It would be.
he's a winger.
Yeah, because his underlying stats being able to play defense just truly is not there. It really is not. But I do think that the cost for him would be a little bit higher, even though it is out of your conference and you do have that maybe friendly family discount with Pat Verbeek. But the Ducks need to eat too, right? And so they need to get paid just as much as we want to get treated well. And so, yeah, for Trevor Zegras, I think minimum you're at least asking for a first. If you get a first and then Berggren, I think that that's good. Maybe you would have to throw in a little sweetener. Yeah, I think you're going out there and you're making it happen. I think having a Trevor Zegras, Larkin, Raymond line or Zegras, Confer, Raymond line is a
Whoa.
perfect second
Imagine
line.
that. Imagine your top six starts with Larkin, DeBrincat, Kane, and your second line is Zegras, Comfer, Raymond. Oh, that sounds real nice to me right there. And then the bottom six, who really cares? I don't, but
Oh, the
just do your
bottom six, you
job.
just
Whoever's in the bottom six, just do your job.
the bottom six at that point is going to be Nate Danielson, Carter Mazer, Marco Casper,
Sure,
Amadeus Lombardi, probably. So you got all
I'll
these
take
younger
that.
players that will be on these cheap contracts because you got Trevor Zegras
I mostly
already
just meant
making them.
for this season, but yeah, in the future, that's what it would be.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, this season, then, yeah, you try to maybe you just buy out a contract or, yeah, you do whatever you do. But I see this more happening in the offseason, but we've seen big trades happen like this on trade deadline day where Jacob Chychrun last year, he was acquired by the Ottawa Senators at trade deadline day. And now there's rumors that Jacob Chychrun could possibly be on the move out of the Ottawa Senators.
I'll take him. I'd take him too.
I would take him too, but the injury history really does scare me, and I don't want the Robbie Fabry on defense. One more thing, Matt. Does the off ice antics with a Trevor Zegras or just the sort of attention that he brings, does that concern you at all? Or do you think that that is a concern for Steve Yzerman? Like, does he scream to you a Steve Yzerman fit type of player? Because to me, he truly doesn't. And that is a reason why I don't think that Trevor Zegras would be on this team as much as I want him to be on here. I don't think that Steve Yzerman is going to go after Trevor Zegras just because of character things. Not saying that he is a problem, because he is his own person and he seems like he's a really nice, fun guy and just being a kid. But
yeah, I mean, to be honest, I don't really know what you're referring to. Like, sure, he has some out of pocket quotes, but that's part of what makes him a marketable player in the NHL. He feels like one of those like only like stars who is not just cookie cutter, cut and paste robot, no personality. Like he will
yeah,
actually say some pretty funny stuff. Like kind of him along with Jack Hughes. So I actually really do like his personality. I mean, he's definitely had some on ice incidents, some chirping incidents that went a little far, but other than that, I guess at first glance he doesn't really seem like an Yzerman guy. But it's funny you mention that because the Islanders are also rumored to be interested in him, and he is for sure not a Lamoriello guy. So I don't know where the hell that comes from. I don't know if that really honestly matters if they're looking at him and saying, yeah, we may want this guy on the team.
I mean, that's fair enough. I mean, and hockey is changing, and Yzerman does strike me as someone who goes with the times. He's not someone who is a Lou
Oh, yeah, he does.
Lamoriello, where he forces all of his players to shave their
I
faces.
mean,
So
Zack, he's got a defenseman who gritties every time he scores a game-winning goal. I don't think he cares about Trevor Zegras talking about pissing with his teammates.
fair enough. All right, Matt. I think we're good on the Trevor Zegras talk and the main topics for today for the trade deadline and just trade rumors in general. So let's go ahead and kick it off with the around the league news, and then we can finish out here, Matt. So yeah, why don't we just go ahead and talk about the Ducks situation with the Flyers, right? And so the Flyers trade Cutter Gauthier for Jamie Drysdale and a second round pick from the Anaheim Ducks. Gauthier informed the Flyers he would not play in Philly. I just found that very funny. Like, that is just crazy. Supposedly, it was right after a couple months. It was right after World Junior Championship. He told them, like, yeah, I don't want to play in Philly anymore. But when he got drafted, he was like, yeah, like, I'm really excited to be a Philadelphia Flyer. Ducks GM Pat Verbeek had tried to swing a deal to get another high pick at the 2022 draft, so he could also try to draft Cutter Gauthier. He just couldn't swing it at the time. Flyers engaged upwards of 18 to 20 teams that Cutter Gauthier would sign with over the last couple weeks. GM Danny Briere and President Keith Jones both traveled to Sweden to see Gauthier at the World Juniors to try and attempt to get everything back on rails before pulling the trigger today. So, Matt, after everything I just said, what initial reactions about the trade is what's going on in Philly?
Yeah, I mean it's pretty much just another meltdown over in Philly, which it's really no surprise they're melting down right now about the Eagles, so I guess they're just gonna pile this on too. Yeah, it's a really shocking turn of events, to be honest. You don't really see stuff like this happen very often. Like, honestly, when you shared that he got traded yesterday, I kind of felt to myself like, well, there's got to be like something more to this story. Like, he's got to like have a change of heart or something, because like clubs don't just like trade two of their best young players just out of the blue from nowhere like that. Like, that just doesn't really
Right.
happen. So yeah, it makes sense when you have all the details coming out that he didn't really want to play for the Flyers. I mean, with stories like this, there's always going to be a lot of misinformation out, and there's definitely a lot of misinformation right now about this. I think we're gonna have to wait and see and let time tell what the actual story is behind this. It just kind of seems like Cutter Gauthier, I think the number one thing that people are sharing is he didn't really like Torts' style, which I guess I get it. Like, Torts has a reputation, but at the same time, like, you haven't skated 1 mile on his ice. Like, you've never set foot on the same ice as that team. So I don't really know how you can make a judgment based on that. Like, who knows? Maybe you'd love playing for him. Some players love playing for Torts. Others hate his guts. It's just the way he coaches. That's the reaction that he garners from people. And the other thing about Philly is they look really good this year. They're a playoff team right now. If the season ended, they'd be in the playoffs. So you're saying no to joining a team in the future that might be pretty darn good, actually. And like, we all know that Cutter's going to be a really good player. He's definitely going to inject a lot of offensive firepower into that lineup. So yeah, it's hard to say what really happened here, but if you're Anaheim, you definitely got a really really solid young player coming over. Like, he just scored the game-winning goal over in Sweden for Team USA. He was one of the best players on that team in that tournament. So I think his resume speaks for himself. And Philly too, you made up pretty well too. You got Jamie Drysdale. He's shown flashes that he's going to be a really special young offensive defenseman. The only
Yeah.
question is, will he stay healthy? I hope he will, for his sake and Philly's sake and really our sakes. He's really fun to watch when he's healthy. So I I think both teams made out pretty well, all things considered, and we're just gonna have to sit here and wait and just keep reading the crazy stories that come out, because they're still coming, baby. 2 days, a day later, they're still coming.
Yeah. No, you said a lot and a lot of good stuff. Yeah, first things first about this. Good on the Flyers GM whole staff for keeping everything under control, under wraps. Had this gotten out, they definitely wouldn't have been able to get a Jamie Drysdale in a second, right? We've seen situations like this happen, not just in the NHL, but in other leagues too, where news gets out that a player wants out, and you're able to get him for next to nothing, right? And so people can say, no offense to you, Matt, but you're right. Jamie Drysdale just needs to stay consistent with the health and everything. He's still young, but yeah, good on them for getting a Jamie Drysdale and a second at least out of it for a player that was not going to do anything for them. Quite literally was not going to do anything for them. They could have gotten nothing. And so to get out and be able to get a Jamie Drysdale, a top 4 right-handed shooting defenseman of their future, and the second round pick that I don't know what that's going to be. That falls on Flyers management to draft that pick, but good on them for actually getting something. For the Anaheim Ducks, your forwards are looking pretty good so far, and we talked about them already, but Matt, I mean, it seems like Pat Verbeek is kind of taking a page out of Steve Yzerman's book by doing this. Is he kind of going in a different direction with these players? Because he didn't draft Jamie Drysdale. He didn't draft Trevor Zegras. And if Trevor Zegras is on the trade block, Steve Yzerman is, it's no secret that Steve Yzerman has also done that too with the Red Wings once he came on board and drafted or trading Athanasiou, Anthony Mantha, a couple of other Red Wings players. And so is that kind of what Pat Verbeek is doing right now currently in your mind after hearing that?
Well, I definitely hear where you're coming from, but here's the really big difference in that is when Steve Yzerman came in, those players that he had sucked, and Zegras and Drysdale don't suck. So, yeah, I kind of see where you're coming from. He just wants to put his own personal stamp on the team. Maybe he took a evaluation of all the guys over there and thought, well, am I really going to have a cup-winning core with Zegras and Drysdale going forward, or do I just want to take these guys that I personally scouted and drafted and thought that they'd be really good? Like listen, like you got Leo Carlsson in this draft. That was just, I don't want to say it was like handed to you, like you were very bad, so you did earn that selection, but that's a very big get in that draft. That I would not be shocked if in a couple of years he's surpassing Zegras' ceiling. Yeah, it seems like there's a core over there, a really young core in Anaheim that might be going forward, and Zegras might be away from that, and Drysdale already is away from that. So, yeah, I guess that would definitely make sense. He's kind of just building it in his own image, and that is definitely something that Steve Yzerman is doing. So, I definitely see that comparison there.
Yeah, and I just can't believe you said that. The Red Wings players sucked.
They did.
We got good stuff out of those players at least.
Well,
though.
How are they doing now? They still suck.
Okay, yeah, all right, you got me there. Moving along, Matt. What if I told you that William Nylander signed an 8-year, $11.5 million contract?
I would have. I'd have one question for you. With what money? Where are you getting this money?
Well, believe it or not, they have 21 mil next season to use on 10 contracts to fill the roster, and so
good luck with that.
Is this the end of Marner and or Tavares?
Probably only. Ooh, that's a tough one now that I think about it, because it seems like Tavares would be the one to go, but there's two things about that. Number one, he's the captain, so I think he'd probably stay, and his contract is pretty bad, so that might also keep him there. Yeah, I might have to go with Marner. Maybe he'd leave.
So they both, after this season, I believe, will have one more year left on their deals.
Okay.
And they both are making 10 mil plus currently. Now, Tavares is also the hometown boy on top of being the captain. And I'm with you. I would probably go the Marner route only because if you do end up trying to figure out, okay, I want to trade one of these players and at least get something before losing them, you're going to get more out of Marner than you are Tavares.
Yeah.
So going to that route, I'm moving on from Marner, but I'm probably not going to bring back Tavares unless he can come back on a more friendly deal. Maybe there is a way that they can keep both. If you could pay Marner and tell Tavares, hey, I need you to take a cap cut, then yeah, we would love to have you back. But we can't pay you north of $8 million. We got a Matthews, we got a Nylander, we got a Marner that we got to feed. Have you seen our goaltending in the last 5 years?
That kind of needs to be fixed.
Have you seen our defense in the last 5 years plus?
That definitely needs to be fixed.
So, yeah, the contract match. Your initial reaction on the contract.
Well, my initial reaction is even without the cap going up, he's definitely worth that money. I definitely think it's a contract that reflects his value. Just sucks that the Red Wings wouldn't be the ones to give it to them because that was my pipe dream, and now that's completely shattered. So I guess good on him for getting the bag. I hope it works out for you, Toronto. I really don't hope it works out. I hope it crashes and burns in your face, but I don't know. Good for Nylander. He's honestly one of my favorite players in the league, and it's a shame that he plays for Toronto and for the next 8 years. So good for him. I'll always root for him, despite the clothes he's wearing.
I like Nylander as a player too. I really do wish that he could have been a Detroit Red Wing. Do I think Nylander could have, gotten the exact same amount somewhere else? Yeah, I think he could have. I am a little shocked that he didn't choose to go on the open market route, only because I know that the taxes in Toronto are super high.
Yeah, but I mean, he found the money he was looking for, so I guess it makes sense.
I mean, but we could have probably given him 11.5. The taxes wouldn't have been as extreme. I don't know. I'm kind of going into a rabbit hole that I don't really need to go into, but yeah, with a Nylander, this just further cements Toronto continuing their dominance in our Atlantic Division and in the Eastern Conference for years to come, as long as they have Matthews, right? And so we'll just have to wait and see and how it all shakes out, kind of like how you said earlier. So, Matt, we only got one more thing left to say on here, buddy, before we close it out. You ready for this?
I am.
Corey Perry is eligible to return to the NHL.
Pick up the phone, Steve. Pick up the phone.
He's not going to. No, Matt. No, stop it.
No, he's not going back to the NHL. It'd actually be really funny if another extremely irrelevant team in the NHL signed him, like if the Sharks signed him. That'd be really funny. Just listen, our season's a disaster. Just come on over. We don't care.
First team that pops in my head, San Jose Sharks.
Yeah, 100%. That'd be very funny.
All right, Matt. I think we're good. Why don't you go ahead and close us off with some final thoughts, and I'll go next.
Well, my final thoughts are let's go Red Wings. I am looking forward to seeing hopefully a win tomorrow. It looks like they haven't played in a while. It's been 3 days? It's kind of weird. Yeah. Doesn't really feel like it has been 3 days. I feel like it's been 3 weeks. Let's go Michigan. Hail to the victors. We'll repeat next year. Harbaugh's not going anywhere. He's staying put. Stop with the Harbaugh to San Diego or wherever they are. They still in? They're not in San Diego anymore. I'm just rambling at this point. I'm happy that they won. Let's go Red Wings. Zegras, come on over. That's it.
Okay, cool. All right, awesome. Yeah, thanks, Matt. Appreciate it. Love you, buddy. Derek, we miss you. My final thoughts are let's go Red Wings. Go Maize and Blue. Yes, go University of Michigan. Thank you for being national champions. You made my heart warm and fuzzy on Monday nights. Red Wings are on a heater. Let's keep it up. Let's stay undefeated in January. Let's continue with the momentum forward. Let's see if we can go get a Trevor Zegras or any of the players that we mentioned in this episode, Matt. I feel like that would make us feel really happy. We need to bust out the Magic Conch once again, I feel like.
Yes, we do, dude.
The trade deadline.
I kind of smashed that thing because that didn't get us Bedard, so I might have to buy a new one. But yeah, we'll get it out again.
Yeah, go on Amazon. We'll get one. All right, Matt, that's it for me. And thank you all for stopping by once again if you are returning. If you are new, thanks for stopping by. We really do appreciate it. Why don't you go ahead and hit that subscribe button that's right there. And for all of you, no matter who you are, what you're doing, or how you're doing it, go ahead and hit that thumbs up button on YouTube and then rating us 5 stars on Spotify and following us on there so you can get all your news from us wherever you are. And we'll catch y'all on the next episode, which will be on Sunday. Oh, what's the date on Sunday, Matt? Help me out here. Oh, boy. Sunday.
It's going to be the 15th. Nope, 14th.
That's
Sorry.
14th. Matt was close, and we'll see y'all on the next one on Hockey Town University. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, everybody.